Hi, my name is Bryce Dronen. I live in Davis, California, United States of America, and this is my final project for CS50P random selection scheduling app. For this program, I wanted to create something that gave me a little bit more experience with object-oriented programming. So I have an employee.py and a week.py file, which contain my classes for the employee, which just contains their name and availability. And then week.py contains a day class, which just gives me the name, the AM and the PM for the day. The AM and the PM are just integers that represent how many employees I need to schedule for that shift, AM and PM. And then my week class only has an initialization function for the days, just where I created that list of all of my day objects with the name of the day, as well as how many people I need for both AM and the PM shift. Then in the project.py, the main file, I import employee, I import week, I import tabulate for the last function, and I import random so that I can randomly select employees. In main, I call all of these. In the assignment function, pretty straightforward. I just created all of the employee objects by hand, gave them their names and their availabilities. I return that list, which then gets fed into the create schedule. Create schedule, I start off by creating a week object. I set a counter equal to 0 so that I can iterate over the days in the employee's availability. And then I created an empty list for the weekly output. Then I have a for loop here, which goes over all 7 days of the week. I create 2 new counters for AM and PM, and then I create 3 empty lists for the daily output and the AM output, the PM output, which both get put into the daily output, which then gets put into the weekly output. And I also have this day name equals the formatted string of day name. That's just to make it pretty later on in my make pretty function. Then I created 2 while loops nested in this for loop. They do the exact same thing, but one is for the AM shift, one's for the PM shift. It starts off with a random selection of the employee. Then I check if their availability is equal to AM and they're not already scheduled. If both of those are true, then I append it and I add 1 to my counter. If not, I return control back to the beginning of the while loop and I select a new employee, and we just do that until until this AM counter is equal to the day AM parameter and the day PM parameter down here. Then overall, I add 1 to my weekly counter and I append everything to the daily output, append the daily output to the weekly output, and I return the weekly output, which then is this big blocky, I'm running out of time, this big blocky output of lists I then put into a tabulate function to make it look really nice, which should look something like this. And that right there is the entirety of my program. Thanks for watching.